Welcome to the Go Influence Life podcast, the place for people who want to rise above the noise, stand out from the crowd, and create lasting influence in leadership, business, and beyond. I'm your host, Christian Hansen. I'm the best-selling author of the LinkedIn Top 10 ranked book, The Influence Mindset, the art and science of getting people to choose you. Together, we're going to dive into inspiration, motivation, and application for success and influence. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about a simple skill that if you develop and are able to use, it's going to increase your chances of success no matter what you do. And to start, I need to share the story about how I got fired from my first real job interview. I'm embarrassed to say, but I was fired from my first real job interview. And you know what's worse? It was at my family's own restaurant. How lame do you have to be to get fired from your own family business? Here's what happened. I was home from college for the summer and needed some cash. Logically, my parents said I should work at our restaurant's newest location, which had recently opened. I had worked at our other location all throughout high school, so I knew the manager, someone that I knew well and I'd worked with for years, and so I scheduled an interview for the next day. I was sure I had the job. It was going to be a slam dunk. I couldn't have been more wrong. As it turns out, the next day was a logistical nightmare for my family. People had doctor's appointments, errands to run, and sports practices, and only one car. That meant when I arrived at my interview, I was officially 15 minutes late. I walked in with a sheepish look on my face. The manager, on the other hand, looked pissed. "Why are you late?" he asked. Surprised by his abrupt manner, I explained we had one car. We're trying to get everyone from this place to that. "But you're late for your interview," he interrupted. I was stunned. He continued, "If you're late for your interview, then what does that say about your dependability when I need you on my team? When you aren't on time, it's disrespectful to me and the others you're going to work with." Shocked, I didn't know what to say. He had a good point. "But it wasn't my fault," I protested. "Come back tomorrow," he interrupted, "except this time, on time. And we're going to give this a second try. We're done. We're done." He turned on his heels to go back to his office, and just like that, I had failed my first real job interview at my own family restaurant. I left embarrassed and angry. I'm sure he received a lot of gruff that night for dismissing the owner's son, but to his credit, the manager stuck to his guns, and rightfully so. That's because, like any great leader, he was creating a powerful teaching moment. The next day, I made sure I arrived early with ample time to spare and waited in the lobby. When he came out, he was his normal, friendly self and said, "Being on time is the first step to earning respect and trust. That's why it matters so much." We had a really positive conversation, and he set the expectations quite clearly. I was going to be a line cook. I was going to prep the food and serve customers as they walked in. Now, for that entire summer, as I made handmade burritos for hundreds of customers, I learned a lot about cooking, working hard, and serving people. But the most important lesson I learned, and I've never forgotten, was the power of always being on time. How can a seemingly simple habit of being on time make any difference in life? As the manager correctly said, it starts with respect. If I'm late, it is disrespectful to the people who have prioritized to be on time. Joy Fowler said, "Arriving late is a way of saying that your own time is more valuable than the time of the person who waited for you." Close quote. However, while respecting others is certainly important, the most important person you are respecting or disrespecting is yourself. Have you ever felt rushed for an important occasion? Maybe it was a job interview you were worried about, or a phone call with someone who could open the doors of opportunity. In this moment, perhaps a lot was at stake. A lot was at line. In this moment, perhaps a lot was at stake. A lot was on the line. When you were in a hurry, Did you feel like you were setting yourself up for the best shot at success? If you aren't willing to give yourself your best chance, why should they? Now, by contrast, consider another time where you arrived early, had time to collect your thoughts, and were able to walk into the room composed and prepared. In this second instance, how did you feel? You gave yourself the gift of being on time, and the outcome was likely much better. More importantly, you had the confidence that comes from preparation. Whatever the opportunity, being on time is one of the simplest and most important things you can do to increase your chances of success. It's one of those small investments that will always bring huge returns in increased performance, impact, and influence on others. Because just like the manager also said, being on time is one of the easiest ways to build trust. Sadly, the reverse is also true. Being late, especially when first meeting people, can erode trust. The famous basketball coach John Wooden said, quote, "If you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it over?" Close quote. To which I'll add, if you don't have time to be on time, when will you have time to rebuild trust? Though getting fired for my first real job interview in my own family business was a rough learning experience, I have forever been grateful to the wise manager who taught me the first lesson about success. You only get one chance to make a first impression. Don't let lateness be the first thing people remember. Just be on time. It's the one small thing that is guaranteed to increase your chances of success in whatever you do. Most importantly, I thank you for spending your time with me this week. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Go Influence Life podcast. My hope is that you have found ways to rise above the noise, stand out from the crowd, and create lasting influence in leadership, business, and beyond. If you have found this to be helpful, please share it with someone else who could use some inspiration, motivation, and application for their own journey of success and influence. Remember, abundance of opportunity never comes from scarcity of thought, and success isn't about being outstanding, it's about standing out. How can you go influence life today? I'm your host, Christian Hansen, and until next time, God bless.